Perfectionism and imposter syndrome. Welcome to the School of Self-Worth Live. I'm Sam Osborne, the Self-Worth Guy. Today we're talking about perfectionism and imposter syndrome. And if you remember one thing from this episode, it is cut yourself some slack and carry on, people. And I'm going to talk about three things here. We're going to talk about it being okay. It's okay to be imperfect, and it's okay to feel out of your depth. And I'm also going to talk about giving yourself permission to reframe how you see perfectionism and imposter syndrome. Let's go through that. So perfectionism, maybe you suffer from this. This is when you feel like a job is never good enough, and that maybe you can never do a good enough job, or maybe you yourself can never live up to the expectations that you set upon yourself, or maybe you feel others set upon you. And perfectionism can certainly stress us out. It can get us feeling very anxious, and it can also cause us to procrastinate on a project or making a decision because we have this idea in our head of, I don't want to make a start on my project, or I don't want to complete the project because it'll never be good enough. And that is not a nice feeling. I know what it's like. So that's perfectionism in a nutshell. And I want to say that I want you to think about the idea that it's okay not to be perfect all the time. In fact, if there's a specific task that you are wanting to perfect, I want to tell you to tell yourself that it's okay that the project isn't going to be perfect, that it's all right to make some mistakes, to get it wrong the first time, that you can always have another go, and that the worst case scenario probably isn't going to happen. Whatever you have in your mind is probably an exaggeration or a complete fantasy about what you think might happen if you don't get something perfect. And so, I want you to just think of this idea that it's okay not to be perfect. I also want to say that it's okay to want to be perfect. It's perfectly all right. It's actually a really good quality to care about yourself and your work, whatever it is that you're doing, to really care about. Say, I want it to be high quality. That's a great thing to have within your, let's say, your work ethic. My green screen's got some weird stuff going on there. It's not perfect. Carry on, right? So cut myself some slack and carry on. All right, let's talk about imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is when you feel like you are out of your depth. It's when you feel like you are faking some sort of expertise, or you are faking who you are. And there's this thought in the back of your mind that people are going to catch you out, and they're going to point their fingers at you, and that there are some fraud police, and they're going to knock on your door, and they're going to come in with clipboards and handcuffs, and it's going to be horrible. And then they're going to live stream you to the internet and show everybody how much of a big fake phony you have been at whatever it is that you think you're faking. So I want you to say to yourself that it's normal to feel like an imposter, because lots of people go through it. I went through it. I went through it in a big phase in my late 20s, especially when I wanted to put myself out there into the marketplace as a entertainer. I felt like a big fake, big phony. I felt like I'm not good enough to get paid to do the thing that I would love to do. And then I thought it had gone away for about a decade, and then it came back again just recently when I started doing these live stream videos back in February. And I saw lots of experts who were talking about imposter syndrome, and I immediately felt like, oh my gosh, I can't be making these videos. Who am I? I'm a school teacher, a lowly school teacher, and I'm not an expert with doctor and PhD at the end of my name. And then I realized that it's okay to feel this sometimes, to feel out of our depth, and that a lot of the time we project fantasies out into the world of what's true and what's going to happen if we try something new, if we step out of our comfort zone. So it's normal to feel like an imposter. And but I also want to say it's normal to feel this way when you are exploring new territory, when you are exploring becoming someone new. or exploring a new role that you may have landed in the workplace, or maybe you're exploring a new business idea. It's perfectly okay and normal to feel out of your depth and to feel like people are going to say, hey, you are faking it. You're not an expert. All of these things happen, and it's completely normal, and it goes away. I also want to talk about here of this idea of giving yourself permission to make mistakes. It's part of the journey of becoming an expert, of becoming your authentic self, is to go through making mistakes, getting it wrong, screwing up, looking foolish, feeling ridiculed, receiving bad criticism is all part of the journey. Get used to it. But to counteract that, to balance it, there's also going to be some beautiful moments along the way where you feel like an expert, where you feel like, hey, I got that right. I really did a great job. And that you feel like an expert, and people will tell you. So you're going to get both. So that's a realistic approach to it. So I want you to reframe perfectionism and imposter syndrome, the negative sides of it. I want you to reframe imposter syndrome to be, you're not an imposter. You are an explorer. You are a pioneer going off into new territory, perhaps for your own personal development, maybe your professional development, whatever it is, that you are charting new territory. And yeah, it's scary. You can feel out of your depth. You can definitely make mistakes when you're charting new territory. It comes with the territory, so to speak. So let's summarize. If you suffer perfectionism or imposter syndrome, I want you to remember to cut yourself some slack and carry on, because it's okay to feel imperfect, but it's okay to want things to be perfect. And it's normal to feel like an imposter, to feel out of your depth. And it's normal to feel this way when you are exploring new territory. So give yourself permission to go and explore new territory for yourself, and you will be totally fine. You'll be totally fine. All right. If you've loved this episode, I've got a free gift for you. It's called Crush Imposter Syndrome Forever, the starter kit for bulletproof confidence. And you can get it at the links above on Facebook and LinkedIn, or below on YouTube. And you can get it in the description if you're listening on Spotify. And it's on the screen right now. Oops, that's the wrong button. samosborn.com/starter kit. And I invite you to join the School of Self-Worth Facebook group. That's the best way to get hold of me and ask your questions. I would love to make a video for you on your questions. So if there's one thing I want you to remember from this episode, it is cut yourself some slack and carry on. And that is how you solve perfectionism and imposter syndrome. Have a great day, everybody.